It's Tuesday, October 22nd, 2019. Digital Trends Live is about to start here. Some of the topics we'll be covering on today's show. Another day, another Facebook update. As Mark Zuckerberg has announced more policy changes to the platform that you could be seeing soon in order to combat election interference. And the final trailer has arrived for Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. It looks amazing, and with some record-breaking pre-sale returns, could it be the biggest movie of all time? And our own Adam Kasakowski will join the show to discuss technology in the automotive world, including Tesla news, and we'll talk about his hands-on review of the new Bollinger EV trucks. And we'll have New York Times bestselling author and the creator of the phenomenal YouTube series, My Drunk Kitchen, Hannah Hart, on the show to discuss her new book, My Drunk Holidays, in our New York studio. All that and more coming up on today's episode of Digital Trends Live. There we are. Hello, everyone. Oh, look at that in the background. I love the convergence there of the subways and the trains. It's great. Oh, I'm not supposed to say anything about that. Hello, everyone. It's Digital Trends Live. Thanks for joining us. This is our daily show here from Digital Trends, where we bring you the trending tech topics of the day, news, interviews, headlines, discussions, and more, all while broadcasting live across a number of different platforms. We're on Periscope, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Dailymotion, Apple News, 2 different mobile apps, a smart television app, and we're at digitaltrends.com/live. So wherever you are, thanks for finding us. Hit that subscribe button, share the show, let everyone know right now across all of your social media networks, or just watch the show and enjoy and interact with us. To start off, though, I'm Greg Nibbler, joined by Caleb Dennison.
Good morning, Greg Nibbler.
Good morning. We are looking very northwesty today.
We are. Lumberjack-style plaid action in full effect. I don't think that's a bad way to go.
Caleb hand-cut that wood in the background on the set, but besides that, let's actually get to talking about some news. So we have a lot to get through here.
Yeah, and in a hot hurry, too.
Really is. So with Facebook, we have some more news today. Now, of course, tomorrow, Mark Zuckerberg is going to be before Congress talking about Libra. But today, we have some news from Facebook about how they're going to combat election interference. This has definitely been a big topic for, well, not just the last week, but really over the last several years. But right now, they're really coming under fire for a lot of what's going on and how they're going to handle political ads. They made a statement saying that they're not going to censor political ads, as far as they're not going to not allow them or keep them off of there if they are fake news or if it's false information that's being proposed on there. But they do have some now regulations, some internal regulations that they announced in order to help combat some of that misinformation that gets spread around. So here's what happened. They have it's going to be called Helping to Protect the 2020 U.S. Elections. This was a blog post that they actually put up where they walked through some of the different things they're going to do. And this is the same thing for Facebook and Instagram. They said they've already removed a plethora of accounts from actually Russian and Iranian-based sources where they had been posting false information. And here's what they're going to do now. So to fight foreign interference, they said they're going to combat inauthentic behavior, including an updated policy. They're going to protect the accounts of candidates, elected officials, their teams, and others through Facebook Protect. That's what they're calling this thing. So it's supposed to provide more transparency.
You'll forgive my skepticism on this one. I think I'll have to be the voice of the people for this and say, you know what, it's all fine and good to have internal policies.
Right.
You've had many in the past. You've proclaimed to want to protect your users. There have been data breaches. There have been hacks. They've been really bad about disclosing information around those events.
Yep.
They kind of had to whisk around quick and do some damage control and some cleanup, and the faith is lost. And I understand they want us to trust them again, but they're just, I feel, reacting to a lot of pressure to do what they can to avoid any influence of outside powers in our elections. Of course, that makes sense. Of course, they're going to do that, but how are they going to do that?
Yeah.
Are there going to be a bunch of people scrolling through a bunch of accounts? Are they going to use AI bots to try and figure this out? I want to know a little bit more about the how than the what. That's my thing.
So part of what they did say that they're going to be doing is that they're claiming that for political ads, they're going to have a team that'll verify the information. And they're even going so far that you could have something that'll come up, and they showed kind of an example of it, of this screen that goes over the ad that just says false information. This ad contains false information.
Wow.
And then they'll give a little bit of backing about where they fact checked it. So if they do go through with that with every ad, that's pretty great. I think, well, at least as far as a step forward compared
How
to
big is that team going to be? The amount of
Yeah, the amount of political ads that go out.
Yeah, there's a lot of media to try and cover there, and
So I don't know if they're going to cover media outlets. It'll be political ads.
I'm just talking about like the videos that you
Right.
see out there, the memes, all that stuff. That's a lot of stuff to posts, if you want
Yeah.
to call it, instead to filter through and try and attack. And it's just, listen, I'd love to be proved wrong. I just find that this sounds like a huge challenge, which is probably why we haven't heard anything about it until now.
It really is. I mean, it's an enormous challenge, and they tried to do the whole hands off. I think that's what some of this backlash is for, why they're coming out with this. When Zuckerberg said, like, oh, no, we're not going to touch any of it. Yeah, there it is. So false information, see why. And that's something that you could see, at least according to them, that could pop up on some of these different ads that come out where they'll say this information is false or this information, whatever. They're giving apparently a rating system, an A and a B. I don't know what that means. I mean, I would think it's either true or not.
Well, what they have done with this, for sure, is avoided the whole censorship thing.
Yeah.
They're not completely outright, removing this stuff.
Yeah.
If it's controversial or if it's, loosely based on facts
Right.
or fiction. But, they are doing something to notify people. So
At
I'll give
least
them
take
that.
a step. Yeah, at least it's a step. And we'll see whether this is actually successful or not. But as they said, there's already a lot, and to no surprise, a lot of foreign agents trying to influence the United States election. Shocker, I know, you heard it here first. But yeah, that's obviously going on, and they have removed a bunch of accounts, they said, that were blatantly doing it, but who knows how many other ones.
And if you just don't want to be part of the whole mess,
Yeah.
you don't want to have to see any of this on Facebook, you could just leave, right?
You could leave Facebook. That is the possibility.
Could you, though? Could you really leave Facebook?
Well, that is a wonderful transition, Caleb. So you can read more about that at digitaltrends.com. And let's go to this. So talking about our next trending story. And this is a bill that has been proposed by a few different congressmen and women. And it has to do with a bipartisan bill that would allow you to essentially take your data from whatever platform you're on and move it to another one. So let me explain just a little bit here to give you the idea. This was announced just today, Tuesday, October 22nd, when we're talking about this. And so essentially it would allow you to transfer your social media data from one social media platform to another. It would specifically target social media platforms with 100 million monthly active users, which limits it down pretty well. There's not a whole lot of them that'll do that. I wonder who they're targeting with this. And so it's called the Access Act. And essentially, so targeting, like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, different ones with that many different users on it, where you would be able to retrieve your data from the platform using a tool that downloads all the data. So that would be all your data, not only your information about where you went to, but also, say, your images, in theory, or your posts. All of that stuff, you download it, you could take it, and then, in theory, go to another social media platform and just plug it in. Say you got a USB drive with it on and plug it in, and then all your stuff is on that other one now. So you control where your data is. And there's a few other aspects to it as well, but what do you think just about that side of it?
Well, aside from practically, you would have to have a platform that was very much like Facebook in order for it to be of any use at all to move all your data from one place to another. So that's
They had to put it
interesting.
on to CSV files. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how they would manage this, but I will say that this is the first time I've seen in recent days any kind of legislation that very specifically says your data belongs to you and you get to do whatever you want with it. Because frankly, it feels like in modern times our data is not really our own. When we go on Facebook and it's a free service, right?
Yeah.
And there's just sort of this unspoken deal that you have with the platform that because you participate for free, they get to take what they know about you and do whatever they want with it. I mean, data is the most valuable, personal data is the most valuable thing, most valuable commodity at this point.
Right, more valuable than oil in some comparisons.
Exactly. So I like that aspect of the bill that basically assigns ownership of the data to the person in some way. Maybe it's a door opener. But this is the kind of regulation that people have been asking for. I don't really know.
And that's what I want to know. We're broadcasting live. What do you think about that? Do you want the ability? I mean, in theory, that's a pretty good thing, I would think, be able to just take your data and move it somewhere else. There's so many different stipulations with that. I mean, and also, if you go with that, you could also, in theory, delete it all, and it is possible to get your data right now. What they're saying is it's very complicated. You'd have to download every post in some cases, so it's not a very easy way to do it. This would be you get one lump file. They said a machine-readable format, whatever that means, to where you would be able to take that information that you have posted and just immediately remove it from the platform. But does that really solve any of our issues? Does that really solve the problem?
I don't think so. Because if you're moving it to another platform that is built basically like Facebook is built,
right,
you're just
going to have the same thing.
You're going to another company. I mean, that may or may not have privacy regulations that support what you want.
Yeah.
I will say this: I'm sure I would be horrified, as would most people, about what our Facebook data would look like on a frickin' spreadsheet. That would be that would be a mess.
That would be a mess indeed. Yeah, that's what they're proposing. So this is the Access Act being proposed by it's a bipartisan bill that's being proposed right now. And I think we're going to see more and more of this as clearly big tech, and in particular companies like Facebook and Twitter and Google, are being targeted. Not targeted necessarily, maybe that's the wrong word, but there's a new eye of regulation that's being cast upon them. And what that's going to shake out to, how that's going to look with all of the privacy concerns and security concerns that we've had, I think things are going to change. How they're going to change, we'll have to see how it all shakes out. But you can read more about that at digitaltrends.com. This is a discussion we're going to be having for a while, so let us know what you think. I know we've got a few minutes here to get through some more news for you, so I want to talk about this one with the impending television streaming wars that have already been going on, but with Disney coming out, Apple TV Plus coming out within the next month, both of them, Netflix is rising to the challenge, in their minds anyway. They're raising $2 billion more in order to buy up more content. So they need more content to compete with the likes of all these other streaming services. They need more premium stuff like their Stranger Things, or that's kind of a one in a million one, but things like that. They need more content. So they're raising $2 billion in junk bonds in order to do that. And that is part of what they're doing. But the other part of this news is that they also released a little bit more information on how they actually classify their shows when it comes to their viewer demographics. Well, not necessarily viewer demographics, but as far as their viewer metrics.
They're trying to figure out what's really successful for them and what's not. And you figure they could figure that out just by looking at how much people stream and how far they make it into a movie or a show that they have made themselves. And I'm a little bit confused. Is this $2 billion for them to spend on producing new content, making it themselves, rather than just like buying it up off of other people? Or
I guess I take that back. That probably could go either way. I don't know if there's a specification on what they would do with that. They said that the $2 billion is for more content, so I suppose that could be for buying other shows as well.
Well, they really only have two choices. They can either make it themselves and hope that it's really successful, or they can buy up stuff that is super popular, which will be harder because everything, as we know, is segmenting. All the Disney, Marvel stuff is heading off in one area. All the Warner Brothers stuff is heading off into another area. And so it's going to be really hard for them to scrap together, unless you just want to watch like really old 80s TV shows.
Yeah, well, there's even a platform that's doing that.
Yeah,
HBO
exactly.
Max is going to have all of that stuff on there, or NBC Universal is.
Right.
I don't know. They're both going to be doing
I think Netflix is going to have to make their own stuff and make it even better and have more huge hits like Stranger Things and Ozark and some of their other more popular shows in order to really compete. I mean, I think original content's where it's at. You look at how HBO did with Game of Thrones over the past few years. That's where your cash cow is.
Well, the way that they actually classified it, so they said they classify their viewers as starters. So when it comes to a television show, there's starters who are households that watch 2 minutes of a film or one episode in a series, and then they're out. So they say that's not a successful movie or series. Then there are completers, and completers are households that watch 90% of a film or season of a series. And so those are the kind of the main two data points that they lose. So if you have a whole bunch of completers that watch your show, it's called a success. If it's just a bunch of starters, it wasn't a success. And then they have watchers. This is the third data set. And watchers are a more general metric. Households that watch 70% of a movie or one episode in a series are considered watchers. So I'm not sure how they differentiate between starters and watchers in that, but that's what they're looking at. So those are the three different data sets that they
Interesting. None of the 90% does not sound like a completer to me.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why would you watch 90% of the movie and
Dude,
not finish
imagine going all the way
give up
you
on
leave like 20 minutes of the last episode of Stranger Things season 3.
Yeah.
Like, you are not a completer, my friend.
No,
Sorry.
No, I mean, why go all that way? I mean, even if it's terrible, if I watch 90% of it, I am finishing that series or that movie.
Yeah, you are.
And that's a lot of the ones that I've watched on Netflix. I won't call any of them out, but nonetheless, that is what they're classifying. So starters, completers, or watchers. We're all one of them, depending on what series you watch. All right, so that's the news about Netflix. Just one final thing here, and I know we need to get to a break, and then we're going to come back. And we're going to do some read 'em and weep, but there's no denying the Star Wars trailer came out. The final Star Wars trailer, Rise of Skywalker. It is out, and I got to say, it looks amazing. One piece of news with it, it already broke the pre-sale record that Endgame had set earlier this year, so it's already broken it. They got some of my money. I'm not gonna lie, already.
A lot of tickets sold. You bought? When are you going?
I did. I'm going the opening night, Thursday.
On the 19th?
On the 19th.
That's going to be a packed house, my friend.
It is. Well, a reserved seat. I only do reserved seats.
Right. No, you'll have a seat. You'll just be smashed in there with a bunch of other people, which will be fun. A lot of other super fans. That's a good way to do it, for sure.
That's true. Yeah, it'll be uncomfortable.
What did you think of the new trailer, though?
I like it. I'm all for it. I like, it looks very Star Warsy. You have some motion in there. You got a Chewbacca in there. You got lightsabers on top of a dam. I mean, come on.
Sky's
come on.
full of
What more
ships?
do you want?
No.
I'm sure there's plenty of people on the internet. Oh, this sucks. This is stupid. It's a movie about space ninjas and wizards. Come on, it's just fun.
I have a lot of questions. And in fact, I feel like I need to watch the prior to catch things that I missed, so I can go into this one as best informed as possible.
As luck would have it, we have a breakdown at digitaltrends.com. You can take a look at. We'll kind of go through some of it. There's definitely some good moments. I mean, come on.
Rick Marshall's got some theories about what's going on. The thing that really gets me is the very end of the trailer where we see Rey with the double red saber. What does that mean?
What does it mean?
Time
travel?
travel?
We're gonna find out.
What's going on?
The Empire. Okay. Anyway, that's out. I'll just leave it at that. I could talk about that for another hour, but we're not going to do that. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to read some of your comments, because you are always commenting. Everybody's commenting. We love it. And we're broadcasting live, so we can see your comments right now, so keep dropping those in there. We're going to read through some that are going on right now, whether they're trending online or from our site. Wherever they are, we will read them back here in just a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. Again, thank you for joining us. Hit that subscribe button and also drop in your comments on whatever platform you're on. I'm Greg Nibbler here with Caleb Dennison. It's time for some Read 'em and Weep, where we take a look at some of the comments that have come through across all of the social media platforms, including ours, and we want to see what you have to say, and we'll respond directly to you. I know Caleb has a lot of fans on social media. YouTube.
Stop.
Caleb is a star on YouTube.
Please.
And he has some big fans, so we'll see what comments come through. I don't ever see them before we do this, so we like to see them live as they come through. And since we are live, you can drop in yours as well. All right, Twitter. Goo. Today is hashtag Make a Dog's Day. If you follow, you know we're big fans of dogs here. All right, dogs are cool. There you go.
Aw,
Caleb,
cute puppies.
Come on.
I got nothing
Starting off
snarky
with
to
puppies.
say.
That is, yeah, I know. There's nothing snarky.
Somebody's trying to head me off at the pass is what's happening.
They're trying to butter you up right now before they hit you. But yes, come on. It's make a dog's day. All right, I'm all for that.
Yeah.
All right, puppies. I mean,
me
what
a
else? I
second
don't know
to
what
get
we can
that.
say there. All right, Jar Jar, not Abrams.
Cute.
The Rise of Skywalker doesn't even look like a Star Wars. There it is. I knew
thank
you were
you.
out there, people. The Rise of Skywalker doesn't even look like a Star Wars movie, let alone a Star Wars sequel. Just your typical J.J. Abrams action shock. The ugly teal-orange tone is back. Rey is seen running around in the woods with an ignited lightsaber on. Wow, that's a lot of thought into. This person's been waiting for this trailer, for months.
My favorite part of this is Rey is seen running around in the woods with an ignited lightsaber on. How is that not Star Wars?
I don't
People
know.
running around with lightsabers. Come on.
I don't know. I'm not really sure. It's
Whatever.
a fire danger.
All
Come
I know
on.
is it doesn't pay to be so angry about a movie.
Well, nonetheless, I mean, I think Jar Jar Abrams kind of sums it up just in their name alone. But Jar Jar, I'm sorry, you don't have to go see the Star Wars movie. Just want to
Don't go see it so
have
that
to.
I can get in easier, please.
Sean DeVoot
Yes.
on Facebook. Regarding hurricanes, stormquakes at the bottom of the sea, scientists discover. Starring The Rock.
Yep.
Yeah, that's solid. That is definitely solid. I can certainly see that.
Nice one, Sean.
That article is great. I do like that article. I can totally see this as a Rock movie. Although San Andreas is one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Yeah, I really enjoyed hating that one.
It is so bad. So bad. And I like The Rock.
It's so bad that it's almost kind of good with its badness.
It's teeters on that. I don't even know if it ever crosses into the funny side of things. But you know, I guess it's The Rock still.
I've actually watched that movie 5 times.
Okay, never mind.
No, not because I enjoyed it, but because I use it to test AV gear, and it's actually pretty good for that, which is sad because it's one of the worst movies out there. You're absolutely right.
Well, Stormquake, the sequel, that one's going to be good. I can tell right now. All right. Well, Sean DeVoot on Facebook, thank you for your comment. And again, we're broadcasting live. You can drop in your comments on whatever platform you're on, and we'll read those. Jared Sinman, regarding this robot can deal out your cards for you. One of life's greatest challenges finally conquered by irresponsible human ingenuity. Wow. All right, so this robot deals out cards for you. I mean, number one, I don't know how that's really a bad thing. Finally conquered by irrepressible human ingenuity.
I think the thing is, we see a lot of
Is there
these.
sarcasm on social media?
Oh yeah, for sure. That's definitely happening. And yeah, we see a lot of these quick little, 20-second take videos of robots doing various things.
Yeah.
Like laying bricks. That's one of my favorites. And in this case, dealing cards. And I guess, well, whatever.
I mean, I think it's fine.
It's fun.
Well, I'll say this, a little bit later on in the show, we're going to be talking about the campaign to stop robot wars. So we're going to be discussing that later on.
Oh, fun.
About the autonomous robots and how they could be taking over. So we'll bring that back up later.
I'm fine with a robot dealing my cards.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
If somebody spent a lot of time and money making that robot, if that's what you're upset about, get over it.
Well,
it's fine. There are tons of, MIT is very well funded. They're going to make a robot do anything they want out there.
That is true.
So
That's
just
true.
let it happen.
Just be happy that's all it's doing. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly. See that robot dog? It
Could
might
be worse.
kill you.
Here we go, more robots. Steve Goodman from Facebook. FedEx wants to start sending you packages via autonomous robots. 1, unfortunately, vandals will tip them over with hoodies so onboard cameras can't detect their identity. Probably true. 2, why not put such tech, stair climbing, etc., into mobility devices, powered wheelchairs? Also a good point. Steve, you know what? Your outrage is well founded.
No, it's not. And I'll tell you why it's not. One, we've seen the robots that can get tipped over and just bounce right back. And I don't think hoodies concealing identity. Look, the police aren't going to go after the robot vandals. They're already not going out of their way to catch package thieves.
Officer, somebody tipped over my robot. Hurry.
That's not happening. And 2, they have put this tech into stair climbing and powered wheelchairs. There are assist devices out there. We have videos of that playing on our Twitter feed right now. Guaranteed. All of that is true. It's all happened. You don't have a right to be mad. I'm sorry.
Dang, Steve. That's what you get for commenting, I guess. I'm still with you, Steve. But anyway, that's Steve Goodman on Facebook. Thank you, Steve.
Keep pandering to Steve. Watch you pander.
I take him where I can get him. Douglas on Facebook. What does Sprint and T-Mobile's merger mean for you? We asked the experts. Overall, it will mean almost nothing because when you combine the third and fourth cell company, you will get a new company that will be the third largest. Verizon and AT&T will consider it just a
fart in a hurricane.
It won't affect their pricing. Thank you, Caleb. All right, so that is what we're looking at.
I don't care about what the point that Douglas is making. Fart in a hurricane, it wins the day.
That's the comment that you needed. It was right there.
No, I think the biggest worry for me is like the Sprint Can You Hear Me Now guy, formerly of Verizon, and John Legere coming together in some way, CEO of T-Mobile. Like if the Can You Hear Me Now guy joins John Legere on his weekly Sunday slow cooker thing that he does on YouTube, that could be a mess.
Oh, I kind of want to see this.
Really?
Mess. Yeah, I want to see it happen. Actually, I want it on here. John Legere, if you want to come on this show, please let us know. Digital Trends Live.
Dude, let's do it.
Would love to interview.
Let's do a little slow cooker Sunday thing with John Legere. That would be amazing. But we'll have to do it on a Friday.
Well, that's true. So we can have a couple of drinks.
We can have a crock pot off or instant pot off. That sounds fun.
There it is. All right, well, that is Read 'em and Weep, and we've already gone through this. We need to go to a break because we have another great interview coming up. We have Yoai Eaton, the CEO and co-founder of Converge.io, talking about AI and data science and just how it's being utilized actually a lot in gaming. We're going to talk about that. Predictive technology in gaming. It's really, really cool stuff. So if you have comments or questions, drop those in there. But first off, I have to say thank you to Caleb Dennis.
Hey, thanks for having me. I can't
man.
wait to come back.
I know. Well, that will be very soon. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. So drop in your comments, your questions. We have a lot coming up. Stick around. Back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thanks for joining us. We're broadcasting live, so drop in your comments and questions as we go throughout the show. And we do discuss a lot about artificial intelligence here on the show, and machine learning, and different ways that data can be applied to solve problems. And that's what we're going to discuss in part right now. Joining us, we have Yohai Eaton, the CEO and co-founder of Converge.io. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I'm really excited to talk about the different platforms that you are applying this machine learning algorithms to and artificial intelligence to and utilizing data. But can we give everybody just a quick explainer on Converge.io and how you founded it, why you founded it, and a little bit of a backstory on that?
Sure. So my name is Yochai. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Converge. Converge, we started as a data science company. We did machine learning project to other companies, or a lot around speech recognition and image recognition and stuff like that. And during the time, we saw that we need a platform to help us manage our models and experiments and research. And we also noticed that we spend a lot of our time on stuff that don't really relate to data science, like DevOps and IT and stuff like that. We built Converge. We saw it was really helpful for us. We saw it can help a lot of other teams as well. So we took it out to production. And now we have a bunch of teams using Converge to basically build really cool AI applications around gaming, autonomous driving, computer vision, and a lot of really cool stuff.
Let's talk about a couple of those aspects of it, of how you're using it. In particular, the gaming side. I'm really curious to see how you're seeing it be applied. We're learning a lot more about cloud gaming. It seems to be a real trend when it comes to gaming. I mean, with Google Stadia coming out and Sony and Xbox, Microsoft kind of responding to that, saying that they're going to move to some more cloud gaming support. That's a lot of information to process, and I've heard some different ways that AI might be utilized, but can you walk us through what you're seeing right now when it comes to that?
Right. So I think a lot of the thing that happened in the gaming industry in the past few years is that gaming companies realize that they can use the data that they're collecting to build really cool applications on top of it. So I think the most common use case for AI in the gaming industry is basically personalization of the games for the specific players. So think of it that a game can adjust itself based on your experience with the platform, based on the stuff that you want to see. You can also see different stages, different levels for different players, and different settings in terms of the graphics and stuff like that. We have a bunch of companies that basically use Converge to build personalization around what kind of content do players see, and how do they can recommend new features and new packages and gifts to different users that play their games.
So personalizing with that reward aspect and making sure that they're seeing what that they're interested in. So that's an interesting use of data, and they're collecting that. I'm assuming just through the gameplay, just understanding what a player does. Is that the best way that they get that data?
Yeah, so it could be both. It could be like usually like when you collect a lot of data, you have a lot of different data points from a lot of different users. Like the fact that you reach to that stage on the game and behave in that certain way, it might be that a similar user will be also be facing a similar stage and will be react accordingly like you did. So collecting all those kind of data points and like doing a lot of analysis and research and seeing what kind of, let's say, like packages and gifts do they like they can recommend to different users. That's a pretty unique and it's really good cool application. We have, for example, a company that uses Converge to collect information about the different players, and they can predict if a player is about to churn or not, and based on that they can recommend them with specific gifts to maximize the odds that they're going to stick to the game and they're going to play more and enjoy the experience.
That's a really fascinating use of predictive technology to understand that and to keep somebody hooked into that gaming ecosystem. Is there anything as far as like actual gameplay, loading graphics that's being utilized with that? And I could be off base on that, but as far as when it comes to the cloud gaming side, there's so much information that needs to be loaded in. You
Right.
can't without some 5G connectivity or something, we don't have the ability to do that. So predicting that gameplay moment, is that something that you're seeing this data utilized for?
Yeah, we do see that. We see that specific players react to different settings in the game itself. Like seeing a specific scene in the game can impact the player direction in that game. So we do see companies also utilize that. We also see pretty cool applications around taking gaming as a simulation for reality use case. So we see, for example, car companies or autonomous driving application that take data from gaming and use it to build autonomous driving application as well.
Well, let's talk about that on the autonomous driving side of things, because you said that's another use case of your technology. What are you seeing it being used for right now? Can you walk through some examples?
Yeah, for sure. So all the autonomous driving is based on computer vision, deep learning, and a lot of AI, artificial intelligence. We see giant companies like if it's automakers or like Mobileye, the Israeli company that was acquired by Intel, and also Tesla, and a lot of different companies that try to build like autonomous driving application. To build this kind of application, you need a lot of AI, a lot of data to classify on that specific, for example, stop sign, what does the car need to do, and a lot of image segmentation, computer vision applications, and a lot of stuff around that. Basically, when you talk about an autonomous driving car, it's a lot of different AI models combined into one application.
How are you collecting your data, or what data sets are you using when you're doing this for your platform?
Yeah. So what we do is we provide a platform for developers to be able to help them to build models better and faster. So it's interesting. We sort of like provide the tools for data scientists to build their own models. The data that we try to collect is sort of like metadata about machine learning. So we try to understand what kind of algorithm works best on what kind of data. So whenever a new company, a new user starts building their own models, we can save them a lot of time. Like tell them that this algorithm is going to work really well on your new data set. So you should try that.
When it comes to autonomous driving, it's certainly something that we talk a lot about here, and this onset of it, and how we're almost on the verge of it. We're seeing some things come into it and being utilized on the roads right now, but autonomous driving as a whole, what are some of the benefits from your standpoint that average drivers will see once we see more of these cars on the road?
Yeah. So the benefits are huge. Like the fact that you won't need to drive your own car, you will be able places will be more closer to each other. You'll be able to save a lot of time. You'll be able to do meetings during the driving. Also, a thing that's very interesting is all about like connected vehicles. The fact that everything will be connected, just like the gaming experience that we talked about, we'll be able to see a lot of applications on that. So not only autonomous driving, but also predicting like if this car needs to go to the mechanic anytime soon, or to predict whether I should go that route or that route tomorrow morning because there is a big event in my town. So the fact that everything is going to be connected and data will be collected, you'll be able to benefit a lot from it. We are all using our roads and cars and public transportation, and if we can make that more efficient, that would be better.
How
Best.
how far away would, since you're on the inside of this and you're working on these platforms and seeing where companies are going, how far away do you think we are to having fully autonomous vehicles on the road without a driver behind them?
Yeah. Um, so we made a lot of progress. I like everyone are making great progress around that topic. I think a few years ago, companies said that they're going to see autonomous driving application in 2021. I think we're still a bit far from it, but we do see a lot of great progress, and there is also some regulatory stuff that we'll need to go through, but we're making a lot of progress. So I'm assuming in the next few years.
Well, it's definitely an exciting time for technology, and especially where you're at the forefront of all that. And Yoai, for people out there who want to know information about Converge, what's the best place for them to go?
So they should definitely go to our website. It's converge without the vowels.io. It's cnvrg.io, and looking forward.
Check it out all there. All right. Well, Yoai, thank you so much for joining us. Really fascinating discussion on what the different use cases are for autonomous data and everything that you're doing with this. And thanks for joining us here on the show.
Thank you very much.
All right, so speaking of cars, so we just learned about how AI is being applied in that aspect to both gaming and autonomous vehicles. Let's talk about some automotive technology. And we have next Adam Kaslakowski, our automotive editor, who's going to join us to discuss some things about Tesla. And he got to get a hands-on review of the Bollinger EV truck, first of its kind. So we're going to discuss that. So if you have questions, drop those into whatever platform you're watching. And we're back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. This is Digital Trends Live. Thanks for joining us again. Whatever platform you're on, hit that subscribe button, drop in your comments, share the show, let some other people know about it. That is all great. I'm Greg Nibbler. We'd like to keep you up to date with what's going on in technology in all aspects, including the world of automotive. And that is what we're going to do right now. We have our own Adam Kaslakowski joining us on location. As always, we'll find out about what car he's standing in front of at the end of the interview. But Adam, hello. Welcome to the show.
Greg, my friend, how are you doing?
Doing great. Excited to talk to you about a few different things. I really want to talk about this Bollinger that you got the hands-on with, but we're going to get to that here in a minute. Let's talk about Tesla. Couple of different aspects with Tesla. You go ahead and fire it off. What do you want to bring up first?
So first off, we have a major problem for original Teslas, for first-run Teslas. Basically, they are being bricked because of a memory problem.
So a memory problem going on, which is not something... I mean, you know, I understand that's a big issue with cars now, where we have memory as being a thing, but how is memory a problem that's bricking a car?
Yeah, so this is exactly what's happening, is basically inside the center stack of a Tesla is some flash memory. Now, that car is generating just gobs and gobs of data, both for the self-driving and the electric systems and every part of high-tech piece in it. It's just generating tons of data that has to flow through that memory. Well, so much data is flowing through that flash memory that it has to constantly record and then delete, record, delete, that they're wearing out in about 4 years. Now, okay, fine. How does that destroy the car? Well, the problem is once that flash memory burns out, that center console screen that you're seeing right now just goes black and no longer functions. You can drive without a center screen, but you cannot charge the car without it.
So this is basically like the transmission going out on a standard car. I mean,
Sure, absolutely. This little memory chip is the same as the transmission now. Once it goes out, your car's dead once you run out of range.
so what is the solution to that? I mean, because there's constantly updates, right? Tesla's always sending out updates and bolstering all this. It's shocking that they didn't foresee that would be an issue, that they're not testing this out. But how do you fix this?
Yeah, I'm fine with them not foreseeing it. Cars are incredibly complicated to make, and you can't test absolutely every scenario, so I'm totally cool with that. What I'm not cool with is the solution here. The solution is owners have to pay about $2,000 to get a new chip.
That does not seem right. If that's so, it's like, oh yeah, by the way, you got to upgrade here. Yeah, your chip doesn't work anymore. That seems really shady. What's Tesla's response to that?
So people have reached out to Elon on Twitter, as you do now. Welcome to the future.
Right.
And his only response was, "Oh yeah, this should be much better now." Okay, that's great. So the cars coming off the line today shouldn't have this problem. But if you were one of the first in line to get a Tesla, if you were a true fanboy and got in there right away, now your car has a serious problem, and it looks like they're not going to fix it under warranty.
Wow, which seems like this is going to be a problem going forward with the more updates they send, and once we get into the autonomous side of things, one can only imagine how much data that utilizes. And so if you can't have,
so I highly suspect at the end of the day the company's going to do the right thing, but right now they certainly are not. And if your screen goes out on your Tesla, look forward to a $2,000 bill.
not a good look. But let's continue on talking about Tesla a little bit more here. So there were some sales numbers that came out. Can you tell us what those mean?
So basically, a couple weeks ago, they reported their sales numbers and showed the Model 3 is still going up. We've sold a record number. It was less than people anticipated, but it was still a slight record. What's happening this week, tomorrow, in fact, is that Tesla reports their earnings. Now, they split those two numbers up, unlike anyone else. And what's interesting here is the last quarter that Tesla reported a record of Model 3 sales, they actually lost more money because those cars aren't as profitable. So what we're looking forward to this week is, okay, you once again set a record on Model 3s. Does that mean you lost more money? Or have you figured out how to make some margin on that car?
So, and this has been an issue all year long because when it comes to Tesla sales and can they keep up and is it sustainable? I know you had a big article about this that was out earlier this year where you got a little bit of feedback on that one.
Yes.
But talking about Teslas, and with this, say it comes out and it shows that they aren't as profitable as they thought they were going to be. What are the ramifications of that?
So if they're selling a record number of cars and not making a record amount of profit, it just means they're burning more cash than ever before. And it's just going to accelerate their downfall. Now, a bit of good news they got is the Chinese government just okayed their factory in China. And that's going to be huge for them because that is their largest market. And rather than shipping cars overseas to them, they can make them locally. So they got some good news on the horizon. But we're really looking forward to these numbers tomorrow and getting a peek under the hood, as it were, of okay, are you still losing just gobs of money, or have you been able to turn this around yet?
All right, well, that's some details on Tesla. You said peek under the hood. I got to use that as a transition. Let's talk about the Bollinger, which you got to get a hands-on review. Can you tell everybody who doesn't know what this is, what this vehicle is, can you just walk them through what the basics are?
Sure. I mean, first of all, it's not really a transition if you say it's a transition. Let's just get that out there right now.
You're not supposed to call me out on that.
So the Bollinger is the Lego trucks of your dreams. You have drawn these cars when you were 7 years old. Look, it's perfectly square. I love it for what it is. This is an all-electric truck built by a man who basically said, I want a thing. That thing doesn't exist in the market. I'm going to make it myself. I love it.
So, and this has been like the holy grail, right, of electric vehicles, at least right now, is to get an operational pickup truck or some kind of utility truck that's out there that's EV. So this one being out there, you got to try it out. I want to walk through the details. What was the experience like? I don't know if you drive a truck right now. I'm assuming all of these are your vehicles. But what was it like actually getting in there and driving it?
Yeah, so what we got is our first hands-on. They still haven't allowed drives yet. We just got to feel the truck, look at it, take really detailed pictures. These aren't just press photos. So we went to their factory and checked it out, and what we saw was super impressive. So what you have is about 600 horsepower, a top speed of 100 miles per hour. When it's in low range for off-roading, it's a 60 mile per hour top speed. This is a super cool truck. You don't get airbags, you don't get power windows. This is definitely an off-roading thing. But you have to love it for what it is. It's just unapologetically honest.
So what is the battery life on it?
So the battery is about 200 miles, and a recharge is about 10 hours.
Okay, so it's a long recharge, but 200 miles. Who are they targeting with this?
So there's what is said and there's what is unsaid. So they're coming out with a truck because trucks are actually the best-selling cars in the American market. They always have been. So that's a really big market to play in. But realistically, this thing's going to cost north of $100,000. We're actually going to get that final price on Thursday of this week. So it's an expensive truck with not a lot of amenities. You're going to see this at really nice ski resorts, exclusive clubs that are in the mountains somewhere. Like, this is going to be a fashion statement.
Gotcha. So it's a showcase piece. How does this compare to Rivian's upcoming one?
So Rivian is much more consumer focused than this. It has all these little cubbies and things for camping and living with every day. I will say the coolest feature of the Bollinger is because there's no transmission tunnel, there's really nothing in the middle of the truck. What they did is made an enormous glove box, which basically goes from the end of the bed to the front of the car. So if you're transporting a 2x4 or a ladder or anything like that, it just goes all the way through you between the two seats in the cabin. It's amazing.
All right, that's cool. 100 grand, I don't know, but still.
Yeah. Hey, you have to transport a 2x4 somehow. Might as well pay 100 grand to do it.
100 grand for a 2x4. But that's the Bollinger, the hands-on review. You can check that out, digitaltrends.com. As always during your segments, we have to talk about what is behind you. What is this car?
So this is a 1969 Land Rover Series 2A in a beautiful patina. I love it. I can take this thing through Africa, have no problems. I really want to take it home.
All right, well, clearly that's what we need the shot of next is Adam on safari as you're taking off. So we need you, eventually we're going to have you driving one of these cars out of the shot. So we'll make that happen. Still, badass car. And Adam, thank you so much, as always, for joining us here on Digital Trends Live.
Anytime, Greg.
All right, that is Adam Kosakowski, our automotive editor. So read all about everything he brought up there at digitaltrends.com, and you can follow along with everything going on in the world of automotive technology. Coming up, we have Adi Arazzini, who's going to join us, the co-founder and CEO of Teamy Blends, talking about, well, it's a wellness and skincare products inspired by the health benefits of tea. So I'll read that tagline, but we're going to talk about the actual business, but also just how she grew it based on Instagram, going from Instagram to this highly successful business. So we'll kind of walk through what that process was like. And if you have questions or comments, drop those into the chat on whatever platform you're on. We'll be back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. This is Digital Trends Live. Thank you for watching. We do broadcast live every weekday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, bringing you tech headlines, news, interviews, and discussions. And we're going to have part of that interview and discussion side of it coming up right now. I'm Greg Nibbler. Joining us, we have Adi Arazzini, who is the co-founder and CEO of Team Eat Blends. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
You have such a unique story, and I want to get that to everybody. We're going to talk about your products and everything, but can you talk about the founding of your business and what the basis was and a little bit of your story of that journey?
Of course. It all kind of started from a problem that I was having with my digestion when I was in the military overseas. And, the food that I was eating was made for the masses, so made for 3,000 plus people. And so it's not organic, it's not fresh, it's not home cooked. And my digestion just stopped working. And I became dependent and reliant on coffee to go to the bathroom. You know how it is when you drink your coffee in the morning and you're like, it's 10 a.m., it's my time.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, and it's crazy because a lot of Americans have that routine, but their digestive system doesn't operate really on its own.
Right.
So that's what kind of got me interested in looking for natural solutions for gut health and digestion.
That's a huge hurdle, I would think, to try to go from that being like, okay, I'm noticing a problem here. I drink coffee. It kind of solves some of this, but how do you actually analyze that? Like, what was your background in understanding the gut biology?
My background first came from the fitness industry because that's what I did in the Army. And then I was also a certified personal trainer. I was very lucky to be raised by a very holistic mom who was way ahead of the holistic movement way back before the internet even existed. But aside from that, I'm also studied to be a holistic health coach through the the Institute of Integrative Nutrition.
Okay, so you had a good solid base then to go off of when it comes to that. So you want to start something like this, you want to get this out there, and you want to figure out some solutions to these problems that you were having and probably a lot of other people are having too. So how do you go from that point to launching this business, and what was that story like?
Well, I ended up meeting my business partner, really a chance of total fate, where we met at a mutual gathering. And he actually came from the tea industry. He had worked in tea manufacturing for 5 years. And so it looked like a perfect fit. So we started blending ingredients together and really trying to find the perfect high quality infusion that would really work for people. Because I went to Whole Foods and I bought all the different $5 teas that say liver cleanse, kidney cleanse, gut cleanse, detox, and none of them worked for me. So I wanted to find the real why those teas weren't working for me. And what I discovered is that the quality of the tea was very, very low. And that really affected its ability to work.
So you see there's this issue and you want to try to solve that, and you've tried out all these different ones, and I'm assuming you come up with your own blend that works for you. And you have this. Now, how do you market something like this?
Yeah, I mean, I was still living with my mom at the time. So I had in my bedroom boxes of tea, boxes of envelopes and packing materials and thermal labels. And I didn't know anything about marketing. And this is rewind 6 years ago. Instagram was not what it was today at all. It was more of a social platform for sharing pictures, but advertisers weren't really using it. And so I saw an opportunity there to start posting my product organically and building a community online. And that's really how it started. That was the first thing that I did.
So Instagram, and like you said, 6 years ago, completely different kind of platform to do this. And that's pretty amazing that you were able to do that and share that. What were some of the other struggles just from the small business side of things? I'm always fascinated to talk to success stories like you, somebody who's created a product, who's successful, who's brought this to market and has done this. Like, what were some of the other challenges that you faced that really stood out at that time, and maybe some advice you could share?
Yeah, a lot of the challenges faced that I faced had to do with my total lack of experience. So I was packing up boxes every single day, and learning how to take a job and delegate it to someone else was something that I struggled with. I think a lot of small business owners struggle with this in the beginning. And after I learned how to delegate the packing, the customer service, is how do I scale my reach to get to my ideal customer with no capital or investments at all. So we would use our own money in order to do advertising and in order to do influencer marketing. So a lot of the challenges we faced are the same challenges that small business owners face, which is like, do I make payroll or do I, invest this in more product?
Can you speak to a little bit to that influencer marketing side of things? How important was that for your business and for the growth of the company?
It was instrumental in our growth. Again, think 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Influencer marketing was just at its start then. So I literally had an Excel spreadsheet. And what I noticed at other companies that were doing influencer marketing had a very poor follow through. They would send products out to influencers and never follow up on if anything really happened. They weren't trying to actually build relationships with influencers. And so just because I saw an opportunity there to be almost like a better account manager, that's one of the things that really worked for us. I tracked every single influencer relationship that I had, and I figured out that there are some influencers that have a lot of followers but are not actually influential. They don't actually affect purchasing decisions of the consumer. And once I figured that out, I wrote like a little manuscript for people that I could train in-house and differentiate between, okay, this person has 500,000 followers, but actually we don't want to work with them because our target audience isn't there. Or it's great that they have a bunch of likes and comments, but that doesn't translate to conversions and sales. Because I think a lot of people get caught up in like how fancy and how cool it is that their brand was marketed by someone with 1 million followers or 100,000 followers, but it actually doesn't matter unless it's creating revenue or traffic to your site.
I love that analytical approach to it. I mean, that sounds like you have a whole other side business just based upon this.
Well, it's almost like I started my own agency in-house because there's a lot of influencer marketing agencies that have these connections to influencers. And yeah, we could send out a bunch of product, but like what will happen after that?
Yeah.
Like we're trying to create relationships with these influencers that they really love our brand, because you can tell when an influencer is promoting something that they're doing it just for a paycheck, or they're doing it because they feel a connection toward the brand. So influencer marketing was truly our come up. That is our come up story, is using other people's platforms and influence in order to get exposure for our brand. And it's still our bread and butter today.
Well, now that you've done this, you've come up, Teamy is out there. Let's talk about the product, because I want people to know just a little bit more about it, about what you have out on the market right now, where they can get it, and walk us through a little of those details.
So we started primarily as a loose leaf tea brand that was focused on high quality premium loose leaf teas. And then we also have these tumblers here that you can drink your tea on the go. And that really differentiated us because they come in 16 different colors. People can be healthy on the go instead of, drinking a Dunkin' Donuts or a Monster or anything else. They can drink healthy beverages on the go. So we have 16 different blends of tea, whether it's for gut health, whether you're looking to do a detox, whether you're looking to drink a matcha latte at home, a focus tea. So we have a lot of different lifestyle type of teas. But then in 2017, I realized that I almost hit a ceiling as to how many blends of tea I could make for the consumer that had to do with wellness. So I said to my customers, would you like me to make skincare? And they said yes. So we started a tea infused skincare line, and those products have been picked up in Ulta beauty stores nationwide. So you can walk into any Ulta beauty store, grab our skincare products, as well as we're kind of just, we like to consider us a lifestyle brand that creates wellness and skincare products inspired by the health benefits of tea.
Well, congratulations on the success that you have found with this, and clearly expanding into other aspects of it. So everybody can go into health and wellness centers probably and pick this up. But specifically, where should people go if they want to go online to find out more about Teamy's products?
they can go to our website, which is www.teamyblends.com, or hit us up on Instagram. You can get a good feel for our product there, which is @teamyblends. And they can always follow me if they want to see the behind the scenes of the real hustle of business ownership, and that's @Adi Arazini.
Well, Adi, thank you so much for joining us here on Digital Trends Live. Fascinating story, and congratulations on your success with this. It's clearly a lot of hard work, and you've made it with this, and look forward to seeing more. All right, well, it looks like that was perfect timing because I think we cut out on the video just a little bit, but Adi Arazini right there here on Digital Trends Live. And thank you, everybody, for watching. So here's what's going to happen next. We're going to take a quick break. Coming up in just a little bit, we're going to have Hart on the show, but we've got some more things to talk about. We've got some more interviews. Drop in your comments, your questions. Back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. Again, thank you for joining us. Hit that subscribe button. Let us know what you want to talk about because we're interactive. You can drop in your comments, your questions, whatever you want to bring up and share the show. All right, let's talk about some more news. We have some more trending stories I want to bring you up to date on, and then we have a great interview with Mark Malinowski that is coming up here in just a minute, but let's talk about some news. So first off, we talked a lot about autonomous vehicles, talked about a lot about electric vehicles over the course of this show. Let's talk about kind of a combination of the two. Let's talk about Canoe. So this is a new subscription-based electric vehicle service that is going to be launching within the next year and a half. 2021 is when they're saying they're going to launch, but the platform that they're using is pretty unique when it comes to that. So Canoe is first going to launch in LA. They're pretty unique looking vehicles in that they're kind of the futuristic van style. And it's basically a minivan. It's making the minivan cool again. I don't know if that's cool or not. But since it's electric, you can pack a lot of people into them. And the way it's going to work with the fee, I'll get into the vehicle itself here in a second, but the way it works is it's a monthly fee. So the monthly fee you pay includes the cost of the vehicle, it includes insurance, and it includes maintenance. So you cover all three of those things with the cost of the vehicle, which is a pretty great thing in my opinion, but I want to know what other people think of this. Like if you can just pay one flat rate, now we don't know what the rate is yet, that's something that we're not going to know until closer to launch, but paying one flat rate, I feel like that's a good system as far as going forward. It's a good idea, at least for a business plan. Now with these vans themselves, so you can take a look, they do look a little bit odd. Going to be launching in LA first. So talking about the details on them, the estimated range is 250 miles. It's going to be DC fast charging, so that will allow an 80% charge in 30 minutes, which is really great. That fast charging I think is going to be key to this. And at launch, the car will have a single electric motor sending 300 horsepower, 313 pound-feet of torque to the rear wheels, and the skateboard chassis side of it. This is one of the interesting things, and you see a lot of electric vehicle companies working with that kind of skateboard chassis idea to where you can build and design on top of that. That's one of the cool things with electric vehicles is just you don't have to store that motor quite the same, and so you can really design things as you want. So you see the rounded seats there. You can pack a lot of people into this thing. They said that it's going to launch with 7 cameras. It's going to have 5 radar units. It's going to have 12 ultrasonic sensors. So it enables advanced driver assist systems. It's not saying full autonomy, but I would imagine this could be something that could be upgradable over time. I'm sure Canoe is thinking along those lines, but that's something that's actually going to be launching. So LA 2021, then they said they're going to San Francisco, and then going up the West Coast. So West Coast will get it first, but it's an all original thing from them. So they're not relying on other automotive dealers. This is what they're bringing to the table. What do you think of that? How do you feel about a subscription-based service like that, where you pay everything in one lump fee? I think that's a pretty cool prospect. I think I could see that being very popular as like a ride-sharing service, or get a bunch of people together and all share the vehicle, if that's something they would allow. I don't know for sure how the insurance would work on that. But if you can pack that many people into it, you would think that'd be something even companies could look into, where it'd be like, oh, you have the company van that everybody can ride to work in. It's certainly a cool prospect. I love anybody's thinking outside of the box. Whether it'll be successful or not, we'll have to see. But Canoo certainly is banking a lot on it. So again, LA 2021, you can read more about it at digitaltrends.com. All right, let's continue on with some other stories here, some other topics. Let's talk about some cutting edge technology. I've got a couple of stories for you that I just want to bring you up to date on. Invisibility. Yes, invisibility. That's how I'm starting that off. An invisibility cloak is something that we've been promised through fantasy, through shows, through Harry Potter, through technology and sci-fi for so long, but now maybe we kind of have something with this. So this is a new kind of technology, and the technology itself doesn't utilize any kind of computing. It's called hyper stealth biotechnology. So this is what we're talking about here. So this hyper stealth idea, this is something that they filed a patent for this material earlier this year. And it doesn't require a power source. It's paper thin and it's inexpensive, and essentially it can cover you up. So there you go. Taking a look at this right now. So that's a piece of that material right there, where this person's walking behind that. You hardly see that they're there. I mean, clearly you can see it because we're looking at it right now, but if you weren't paying that much attention, it shows what it's doing. And the way this is working is it's bending light around it. So it's reflecting the light, bending it back around it, so that you can actually, it looks like nobody's behind there. So walking through this just a little bit, so it's called quantum stealth material. And it can hide, they said it can hide a scaled down version of a tank up to that size, and we do have some different things to kind of showcase it, but taking a look at it, so it said it can be ultraviolet, the light can be in the visible spectrum, it can be ultraviolet, infrared, or shortwave infrared light, which can make the what Hyperstealth calls a broadband invisibility cloak. Pretty cool use of the technology, pretty cool aspect of it, and it's fun to see what this could be actually utilized for, bending light. And there were some other examples that we do have, but I think you could read more about it at digitaltrends.com, of just showcasing some of the different ways that it is being used. So again, that's the hyper stealth technology. It's from Canada, and they already manufacture camouflage uniforms for militaries around the globe, so this is something that they've been involved in for a while. And it's something that, it's a pretty cool use of that technology. So where it's going to be used, how we're going to see it next, we don't know for sure, but that is hyper stealth. So that is their patent that they launched. You can check more about that at digitaltrends.com. All right. Let's continue on with one final story here, and then we are going to have our interview coming up. Just to let you know, we have Mark Malinowski, who is the VP of Global Marketing for Showcase Cinemas, and we're going to talk about a study that they did coming up here in just a minute about whether we want to watch movies in the theater or at home, some actual biometrical study. So we're going to have that coming up. Before we do that, though, I need to bring you up to date. I like to talk about robots in this segment, and this is a campaign that I feel like everybody should be aware of. This is actually something that happened at the United Nations, where a campaign was brought that is called Stop Killer Robots. It's a campaign that hit the United Nations for an entire section, an entire hearing on it. So let's get to the base of this. What we're looking at right there, we're looking at the robot named David Reckham. That is David Reckham right there. A robot that is on our side, clearly, campaigning against the killer robots. So David Reckham comes from an inventor named Ray Tate, who is a star in a BBC program called Robot Wars. Now, Robot Wars, clearly that's it. It's robots fighting each other. Ray Tate is a star on there, who's a fan of robotics, but feels like we need to get control of how robotics are being utilized before it's too late. So he's worried about the use of autonomous robots, and in particular when it comes to military uses. And if we just carte blanche give robots the ability to make decisions in the battlefield or anything along those lines, he thinks that's a bad idea, and that we need a worldwide resolution on banning that, on not allowing that in the field. And that's, I guess I can kind of understand that. So Claire Conboy is the communications director of the Campaign to Stop Killer Robots, said they had David Reckham to show that not all robots are going to be as friendly as he is. So David Reckham's your friendly neighborhood robot right there. Not a threat at all. He's got the sticker that proves it. But nonetheless, this is what they're talking about. So they are being serious about this. Now, there are currently behind this campaign in all actuality, they have 26 heads of state and 21 Nobel Peace Prize laureates that have backed the campaign to ban killer robots in international law. So it actually is a serious campaign that's being brought forth right now. And Reckham, David Reckham, sorry, that name is just amazing, is in New York right now. So it's also going to visit Times Square. So if you're in New York, you may see David Reckham walking around. Don't be scared. And it's also going to appear alongside a delegation, including the UN Undersecretary General and High Representative for Disarmament, and several other people. As it's showcasing just the idea that we need to pay more attention to how we're regulating autonomous robots and autonomy in general, and just how much control that we give AI going forward. So it's certainly something to think about, but that is the campaign that's going on right now. Wanted to let you know about the Stop Killer Robots campaign that is hitting the United Nations right now. All right, continuing on here with Digital Trends Live. I appreciate everybody who's joining this show, whatever platform you're on. Hit that subscribe button, share the show, let everybody know about it. And right now we have one of our interview segments, and I'm very excited about this. So we're going to take a break, and here's what's going to happen. Coming up here in just a minute, we're going to have Mark Malinowski, who is the VP of Global Marketing for Showcase Cinemas. We're going to talk about the idea of watching movies in the theater, watching them at home. What do people prefer? There's actually a study out there to talk about it. So we're going to take a break, come right back with that here in just a minute on Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nebler. Thanks for joining us today. We talk a lot about streaming television. We talk a lot about going to theaters, how people are consuming content, and we're going to discuss that right now because we have a great guest. We have Mark Malinowski, who is the VP of Global Marketing for Showcase Cinemas. Mark, thanks for joining us here.
Hey, Greg, how are you?
Doing great. Excited to talk about this study that you have. Before I do that, can we give everybody, just in case they don't know, some information about Showcase Cinemas?
Yeah, sure. Showcase Cinemas is a movie circuit here in the northeast of the United States. We also have cinemas in the United Kingdom as well as Latin America in Brazil and Argentina.
So a lot of different ways that, theaters and theater services that people can go watch movies in. And this is a big debate, right, of whether you go watch a movie in a theater or whether you watch it at home. And there's certainly, this has been a conversation for a while now where people have their preferences. But there's a study now that you did, and this is what I want to get into. So the 2019 Showcase Cinemas Theater versus Home Biometrics Study. Can you walk through what that study was?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's interesting because we in the film exhibition business are constantly saying the movie experience is a more elevated, energizing, exciting experience. But we sort of looked at ourselves at one point and said, you know what, we should prove this. So we worked with a research firm, HCD in New Jersey, and we worked with a group of 40 people and set them up on a biometric meter. So you can see in the video attached to their wrist, to their hands, as well as to their collarbone. And it basically measured heartbeat, and then it also measured what they call arousal. So that's the excitement, the physical excitement, and really the neurons under the skin as they watched the movie. And then the next day, we worked with another group of 40 people, different group, and we created a simulated home environment, and then we compared the results of the two viewings. And in terms of just overall results, it was through the roof that the theatrical movie-going experience was a much more elevated, exciting, energizing experience than watching the same movie at home. And the movie we chose was Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle.
Nice. Okay, so it's the same movie for both sets. Yeah, to stabilize that. So, talking about the data, you mentioned just a couple of different data sets that you collected. Can you go into that just a little bit more about what that data actually means?
Yeah. So when we measure the emotional side, or sort of, the physical, emotional, neurological side of this, what we looked at was the differences in terms of the home audience and the in-theater audiences. And what was really interesting is that there was 250 times more physical excitement in the movie viewing group than there was in the home viewing group of, again, the same movie. So we knew right there's a huge difference. And it's the environment, it's the sound, it's the big picture. We have recliners in the location, in our X Plus location in Revere, Massachusetts, where our guests were seated. So it was all of that, but also it's the communal environment. People coming together to share a movie, laughing. It's all contagious. Laughing together, crying together, jumping together, whatever the case may be. So it is that sort of physical connection that we also think sort of helped to create the results that we secured.
You're right. There is something about that. Yeah, that feeling when you're in a theater and everybody else is reacting at the same time to what you're watching. Well, you mentioned recliners and different aspects of the theater experience that have changed. Can you talk about some of the changes in like sound and technology and some of the advancements that have happened with that experience?
Yeah, laser technology is a big thing for us now. Dolby Atmos sound, where that sound surrounds, the viewer, and it really does play as if you're almost immersed into the film. We have power recliners now. Now we have some locations where we have heated power recliners. Being in the Northeast in the winter, that's going to be a big thing this winter. They're new and we're adding them. And then lobby bars, and then cafes and in-theater dining in our Lux level. So really the movie-going experience that I had as a kid, or we had with our fathers and grandfathers, it's a totally different world nowadays. So really our guests expect the best experience and they expect the best presentation. And then Hollywood, delivers great movies. I mean, we just went on sale last night with the latest Star Wars movie, and tickets are going through the roof in terms of advanced sales. So again, we know people love going to the movies, and we are presenting them in a way that ultimately, can't be challenged in any other format.
I'm one of those people that already bought my Star Wars ticket, so
Good.
I bought it right when it
Good.
went on
They're
sale.
selling fast. They're selling really fast.
They are. What were some other things? I'm really fascinated by this study and actually just putting the technology to it. What were some other surprising findings that you had from this?
What was really exciting was that we also saw peaks. So we saw when the theater and home audience were, again, watching the same movie, the theater audience had a very high energy level at the beginning of the movie. It would then level a bit, and then it would peak towards the end of the movie. And what's interesting about that is it leads to talkability. And in this day and age of movies like Joker, where people want to leave the theater and they want to have a conversation about it, and then that word of mouth spreads, that helps create the phenomenon that movie is. So again, it was interesting to have that proof and that actual data to sort of back up what we always thought through the years was the case.
What do you think the future of the theater going experience is going to be like, as far as, I guess, talking about the technology side of things, how things change, what theaters can offer more? I mean, we talked about the Dolby Atmos sound. That's huge, which it is. If you haven't experienced it, it's a market difference. Like, the difference when you experience that. But how do theaters continue to compete against all of these different streaming services going forward?
I think just doing what we're doing even better. We have locations that are 10 years old. One in particular here in Denham, Massachusetts, our Legacy Place location is only 10 years old. It's our flagship. We are reseeding that location now as we speak. We're adding a premium large format X Plus to that location, and that will have Dolby Atmos sound and recliners. We're reconfiguring the lobby. There'll be a specialty coffee cafe and with other amenities. So I think it's more of, again, not resting on your laurels, but making what we have better. And I also think creating as much of an immersive environment as we possibly can using the latest technology that we have on hand. So I think that's it, is to continue to reinvest and make what we have better. That's what's going to keep people coming back.
Well, it's really, really interesting. Just finding out the dichotomy. I mean, I think the theater experience is something, personally. Like, how else am I going to watch Star Wars? Rise of the Skywalker. Obviously, this is where I'm going to go to experience.
There's no choice.
Yeah, and it really is, and it's a fascinating study that you have. And for people who want to find out more information, who want to read some more about what you came up with, can you tell us where to go?
Sure. Yeah, they can just go to showcasecinemas.com and just go to the press area, and there's all the data there that we put online this morning, so they can find all the information there. And information if they're in the Northeast, in New York or Massachusetts, check us out. Come see a movie. We're also hosting the Star Wars Marathon here in Boston. We're the New England exclusive exhibitor for the Star Wars Marathon, so we're excited about that as well.
Are you going to sit through all of them?
Yeah, we did the Marvel 22 movie marathon a few months back in April. It was a huge hit. We had showers. This one we're gonna have some special things as well, so it'll be fun.
Nice. Well, Mark, thank you so much for joining us here on Digital Trends Live.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it, and look forward to talking to you more in the future.
I enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Take care.
All right, here is, that's fascinating. I love that kind of study. So here's what's going to happen next. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back. We have Hannah Hart in studio in New York with Anna Sterling. So all of that's coming up. So drop in your comments, your questions. Back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. Thank you for joining us. I'm Greg Nibbler. We're broadcasting live across a number of different platforms, and I'm here in our Portland, Oregon studio, but this is not our only studio. We're actually going to be heading to our New York studio, where standing by, we have Hannah Hart. Yes, you know her from My Drunk Kitchen. She's a New York Times bestselling author. She's got a new book, and she is with our own Anna Sterling, so I'm going to hand it off over there now. Anna, take it away.
Thanks so much, Greg. That's right. I'm here in New York in our studio with the hilarious Hannah Hart. I'm so excited to talk to you today.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, it's a very special, it's a very big day today. It's the day that my new cookbook is officially out in stores everywhere.
It drops literally today.
Today is what we in the biz called Pub Day, which is a sacred day where the book is finally out.
This is amazing. How are you feeling?
I feel great. I mean, I couldn't be happier, you know. I'm thrilled.
So, okay, tell me about this book, because it's My Drunk Kitchen Holidays, but I take it it's not your regular holiday recipe book.
Right. So this cookbook is the follow-up to my first cookbook, My Drunk Kitchen, A Guide to Eating, Drinking, and Going with Your Gut. Now, that book was very much a testament to your 20s, you know, surviving and growing up into the adult you want to be. This book is about my 30s, which is thriving as the adult I want to be, too.
Amazing. What was your favorite part about putting this book together?
I loved everything. I mean, you know, it takes a lot out of you to write a book. This is my third book, and I really love writing, and I also really loved putting together all the photos. I mean, the photography in the book is really fantastic, and I was fortunate enough to actually get to art direct on set with our food stylist and our photography team. I mean, the pictures in here, I could show any of you guys. You know, you want to see this? Hey. But the pictures in here are just great.
Oh my God, adding to your list of many skills and accomplishments, now we could add art direction.
And kitties.
Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty great. The book has it all.
Oh my God, that's amazing. And what was your favorite recipe that we have here?
Well, I don't like to call them recipes.
Okay.
I like to call them suggesticles. And
that's cute.
they're really like narrative essays centered around food and using food as inviting people into the kitchen, you know? So I've got recipe for latkes, I've got blintzes. I don't know why I'm only thinking of baked goods. I've got cookies, you know? I've got some cute cookies in this book. I'll tell you what. But yeah, for me, I guess that my favorite one to write was probably the month of November.
Okay.
Because Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday.
Oh,
And
yep.
I know. Oh yeah, here we go. Ring a dig.
Okay.
Fair
These pictures.
essentials.
These pictures.
They're pretty great, right?
They're amazing.
Anyway, Thanksgiving, because my fiance and I, she cooked for the first time for our family last year, and we made 4 dishes that we were both just so proud of, along with the other stuff, but maybe some of the other stuff didn't turn out as well. So those 4 dishes are in this book.
They made it in.
It's a green bean casserole, my recipe for garlic ass mashed potatoes, which is like a very roasted garlic mashed potato. It's fantastic. Our recipe for gravy, and our stuffing.
Okay, so one thing that I know you're really open about sharing is mental health, and I think when you think about the holidays, that's something it's a time that's not necessarily easy for everybody. Did you incorporate some of those struggles into the crafting of this book?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would say that, again, the book is about thriving. So I'm a big believer in using positive reinforcement tools. You know, for instance, New Year's resolutions. Everybody always comes and they think about, what's the thing you like about yourself the least? What's the thing you want to change? And I think that's a pretty miserable way to end the year, you know?
Agreed.
So instead, I pose, reflect on the year, and think about something you really enjoyed. It could be going to an outdoor concert. It could be a dinner party you threw, something. And the resolution then is to resolve to do that thing more than you did it before.
Oh, I
so
love
if you
that.
went to 1 outdoor concert, maybe this year you go to 2. You know?
So much better than your typical New Year's resolution that
It's
most people
kinder.
don't keep.
They don't keep them, and then also they don't deserve that. That same kind of self-critical narrative that, you know, around the holidays, it almost feels like it gets turned up to 11, and that it's almost encouraged. It's like, New Year's, new you.
New year, new me.
I'm like, well, why do you need to be a new you? Why can't you just love you deeper? You know?
That's legit. And speaking a little bit more about mental health, you know, I think one thing that's great to hear creators talk about more is creator burnout.
Yeah.
And I know you've been in this game for a long time. You're OG. You're OG in this game. So how do you sort of balance that and make sure that you're still putting out content that you're excited about, that your followers are excited about, without feeling burnt out?
You know, I wish I had a strategic answer for that, but the reality is that I have spent a lot of time learning how to listen to myself. And the number one thing that creators need to do is respect themselves and each other, which everybody needs to do that, you know? It's really about boundaries. Boundaries avoid burnout. One of the things that I learned from my manager was how to create white space, which is like the space that you need to take a break. Because just because someone's asking you to do something doesn't mean you want to do it. And you always need to remember to check in with yourself before you just continue saying yes, because that's what leads to burnout. And eventually, you know, we might miss out on some really talented people who can't be in the space anymore because they don't know how to do it in a healthy way.
What about in terms of creativity? How do you keep coming up with new ideas?
My brain, it goes fast all the time. I don't know. I don't know. There's so much in this world to pull from. There's so many experiences. And if you think about it, like, this is really just about like American cuisine, but we've got a whole world of food out there. There's so much to draw from. So for me, I guess my inspiration comes from just being genuinely interested in other
So many
people's lives,
things,
just
too.
things that are happening, the world.
I mean, and I feel like when I think about your brand, it encompasses so much. It's, you know, comedy, it's YouTube, it's writing.
It's haircuts.
It's haircuts. It's so many things. And so I feel like perhaps the fact that you are in so many different spaces and platforms, that allows your creativity to keep flowing.
Yeah, I like that. I really do think, though, it's rest because, you know, if you tap out, if you're just running on fumes, well, what comes after fumes? Stink, stink, poop, poop. Yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, but I really do believe in taking a break.
Okay. Well, how many hours of sleep do you get a night? Because anyone following your work, I feel like I can't even imagine when you sleep.
I've been averaging about 5 hours the last week and last night, yeah. But eventually, like...
You feel refreshed?
No, but I don't feel refreshed. I mean, it's kind of a game, you know? It's just kind of like a strategic game. You have to know how your body and your mind can operate. I mean, I'm about to go on tour this is my second stop, and then I'm going to be on tour all the next week, and that's going to be a flight a day. So, like, I'm out here. That's how much I believe in this book. I'm going to be going tonight I have a show in Brooklyn, and then tomorrow I'm going to Cincinnati, Salt Lake City, Tulsa, Austin, Seattle, Atlanta, any of those places. Check it out.
So many places. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about expanding even into more platforms. Have you ever considered an app? Yeah, something where you could share your recipes and give content directly to your followers in that way.
No. I mean, I wouldn't want to make an app about me. When you said make an app, I was like, because I've got a lot of app ideas, but an app about Hannah? No, I'm good.
What kind of app would you want to make then?
I'm not going to tell you.
It could be our exclusive.
This is not an exclusive.
Okay.
I have to put a patent on it.
Okay, fair enough. There you go. Boundaries, right there. Boundaries in action. Okay, well, what about the weirdest app you have on your phone? Is there an app that you have a favorite of?
I am obsessed. I'm like ashamed to admit this. I'm ashamed to admit this. Merge Dragons got to me. It's like this app. This is really childish game of merging dragons together. And it was being served to me, and I kept getting sad, and finally I downloaded it. And you make dragons come together. It's a pattern game. You combine eggs, and you grow resources, you combine the eggs, etc. So that's the most embarrassing thing I have on my phone. Because I'm pretty sure, I mean, I've already given it money.
Wow. That's commitment right there.
Not proud of it, you know.
What about an app that you use the most?
App that I use the most, I would say probably Twitter. You know, Twitter, after Twitter, Instagram, after Instagram, Reddit. Those are probably where I go.
Reddit's such a good one to fall down many rabbit holes.
But sometimes the front page is traumatizing. You're just like, oh God.
Yeah. Do you ever have to put like a social media blackout in place for mental health or anything like that?
No, I don't.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, well, if I don't want to tweet, I don't tweet.
That's admirable. I can't say the same. I feel like I need to instill like a social media detox.
Do it.
You know, like the mindless scrolling. It's just.
Yeah, do it. Yeah. I don't have trouble with that. I get bored and then I put my phone down.
Okay. All right. So tell me more about what we can expect from this book in terms of, I don't know, just surprises that people wouldn't expect.
So many surprises. This book is nothing if not full of surprises. For instance, did you know Love Your Children Day is a holiday?
No.
Did you know that on Love Your Children Day you can make a beautiful Jesus egg?
Complete news to me.
I know.
Complete news.
I know. I was hoping they were going to switch to that camera, but they didn't.
Wow. What about Walking Day? I saw that there's a Walking Day.
Indeed. There's lots of different holidays to celebrate, my friend. It's a beautiful time of year. Yeah, and it's just honestly, the holidays were always really difficult for me to figure out. They're really stressful. Even the thought of it now is stressful. So from there, instead of going towards the stress, I decided to challenge myself to find something to savor and celebrate all year long.
That's amazing.
And I did.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually think writing this book was really good for me, you know?
It was healing in itself.
Yeah, well, yeah. It was just, I don't know. It's a big, wide, wonderful world we have out there, you know? And this is just a little piece of it.
Okay, on that note, that's an incredible note that I want to end on.
Okay.
Where can we get this book?
You can go and order your copy of My Drunk Kitchen Holidays, How to Savor and Celebrate the Year. Available online everywhere at hannahhart.com/book or in a bookstore.
There you go.
And if they don't have it, tell them to order it.
You heard it here first. So make sure you pick up this book and check out your YouTube page,
Check me
which
out
you're
online.
still uploading to regularly at My Heart O.
Yeah, sure. You can follow me anywhere on the internet.
Everywhere on the interwebs.
Yep, all those interwebs. I love them. They're my favorite
Interwebs
webs.
are amazing. All right, thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, back to you in Portland, Greg.
All right, Anna, thank you. That was awesome. Anna and Hannah, here on the show. Hannah Hart, check out her book all over the interwebs, as we were talking about. We're all over the interwebs as well, so thank you for finding us wherever you are. This is Digital Trends Live. We broadcast live every single weekday. Let's talk about what's on tomorrow's show. So every day, we have a new run of programming for you. Tomorrow, Drew Prindle will be here, our own Drew Prindle, to talk about alternative meats, including fungus meat of some kind. You're going to have to tune in tomorrow to talk about that, and he's going to fill us in on all of that. Also, guest-wise, we have John Martin, the CEO and founder of Level Homes, talking about invisible technology in smart homes. And we'll also have Benjamin Alleri from Blue Jay Legal to talk about artificial intelligence in legal work. I think that means Judge Dredd, but we'll have to discuss that tomorrow once we get into it, because every day we have a new run of interviews, headlines, and discussions to talk about. We'll keep you up to date with technology. Hit that subscribe button on whatever platform you're on to join us here every single day. Share the show. We'll be back tomorrow with more Digital Trends Live.